And we're
What up,
back,
what up?
back with another episode of Who
Yes,
Woke the
ma'am.
Savage. And it's your girl, Miss Well and Woke, aka Day from around the way.
And it's your girl, Lady A Savage. And here we are again with the
Um,
part 895 of Life Be Life.
let me tell you, life so hard today that it blew a tire, okay? Right before we jumped in here, I had to go get that fixed. And all I can say to myself is somebody's young
Uh,
man around? Like, I need somebody, sir, to come over here with a tire in his car, a crowbar, or something to help me fix this situation
Help
because
me.
I was mad
Mm,
boots on the side of the road. I gotta invest in a jack. Mm,
mm.
that part.
Oh no. You'll say, no, for real, like we were tired. Literally. Yikes. He be like,
So,
young man, can you please, young man, somebody.
so, best friend. I don't know if you saw Mike Epps' new comedy special.
I did not.
Okay, so let me tell you. So I don't usually find Mike Epps to be a whole kiki or whatever, but this little comedy special was hard hitting in
And
a
that's
few
why you
ways,
watch it.
right? He was talking about like male and female
Okay.
relationship dynamics, and he commonly referred to. He's like, I'm gonna say this to all of the brothers. He's like, all of my relationships have been with black women, and he was like, and I'm gonna be very honest. He basically looked at women as like y'all are takers financially, right? But he was like, but y'all are also caretakers. He's like, anytime you see a man, notice that he's pretty much holding on to his female as if she was like a life jacket or a life vest. Like women, that's what y'all
Hmm.
do. Y'all make really good caretakers. And I'm like, not gonna hold you. I watched this specific comedy special with a man, and I was indifferent. I almost wanted to cover his
And that
ears.
sparked the whole thing, didn't it?
It, you know what? Less of a
I know that sparked the
conversation.
whole thing.
It wasn't even, I can't even say that it led to like any level of conflict. I just didn't want them to internalize the message that he was sending. Please do not, we could be nurturers, but I'm not your caretaker, right? Nurturing, cool. Caretaker, I'm not a nurse nor a purse.
That's a
None of
strong
those things
title.
applies.
That's a strong title to use as some for somebody. Um, like you said, nurturer, helper, partner. It's a lot of other words, but caretaker. Caretaker is a strong word to use when it comes to a relationship. I
You
didn't
know what's
watch it though, so
Well,
I
I'm gonna
don't
tell you
know.
right. You know what word I didn't hear? So he spoke about being financially responsible in a lot of his relationships, like paying for women to do things, and he equated a woman's
Mhm.
attractiveness to how much he was willing to pay. And that's not something new. I know there's a lot of men who feel that way. The more attractive they feel a female is, the more money they're willing to come out of their pocket. If you like it, I love it. Whatever your standards are, that's wherever your standards are, right? And what it was interesting is the
Okay.
same way that he called women caretakers. I was like, I'm waiting to hear men go back to the phrase of provider, right? And I don't think provider means paying for everything all of the time, going for broke, or
Hmm.
protector. I was like, so if caretaker is the common role that he felt was associated with women, I didn't hear himself in my relationships. I was the protector. I was the provider.
Hmm.
He talked about
You said what's the
pain,
word that he used for men?
right? Yeah. To me, I feel like his relationship and how he described it was like it was transactional. I pay because they're doing something for me, opposed to I want to provide and I want to protect. And I feel like this is a new thing that's
Hmm.
happening in a lot of our spaces, and not just for Black women. But you know what? I'm only gonna comment on Black. We gonna cancel that out. I think it's really common within our community because that's what Mike Epps special was talking about. He specifically threw it to our community and then filtered everybody else in about how they operate is different than how we operate.
Woo! You about to shake the room with this one. As soon as you said our community, I feel like the table about to get a little shook. It's about to get a little shook. I feel like you are right. As of recent, you will hear a lot of people say they feel like relationships are transactional. And how did we get there? I would love to know. Because my thing is this. Granted, we may be doing some part of service for each other. To do something is a service in a way, but that does not mean it's transactional. It's deeper than that. It's more to that. It shouldn't be like you said, well, you paid for something, so now I have to do this, or I did this, so yeah, let me pay for this because you did that. That's not how that should work. Um, and like you said, in our culture, it definitely is a strong change that has came along the way, in my opinion.
I think he spoke to like the historical aspect where he talked about growing up and how, have you ever seen the movie Claudine and all of those old school movies about how at a
Hmm.
certain point
For sure.
men were not allowed to be in the household when it came to raising the children or just being like an uncle or grandfather, because if a man lived in your household, that means that you weren't allowed financial assistance to support the home, and how that encouraged a lot of men to be removed from that space. And he just basically attributed to that why certain dynamics exist today, that men were moved to the side in effort for a woman to be able to provide for her children. They didn't want to see a male present. And I've heard this for many years, that that's something that happened historically, not something that we did to ourselves, but
Hmm.
something that was done to our community that creates a divide. But I'm going to fast us forward, right? Let's jump to the modern. Let's jump to the new. My issue with the
Okay,
present situation is that there's a breakdown in communication. I feel like
for sure.
people, I heard a man say to me the other day, he was like, men have an abundance of choices. Women aren't as fortunate.
Hold on.
And he,
Run that back.
yep, he said, men have an abundance of choices and women aren't as fortunate.
Okay.
Basically implying that by them having choices, I feel like it increases the likelihood that people are disposable because of all of these options. What do you think?
Woo. I'm gonna tell you something right now. I definitely do believe there is some truth behind that. It definitely is some truth to the fact that men do have more options. When it comes to women in general, when it comes to certain things, our options are not as, open. Even like you said, the our titles that are used, we were just called caretakers. You know what I'm saying? Like our options aren't that high. You know what I'm saying? Even in the dating world, like you said, you have 10 women to every one man. You know what I'm saying? Your options are endless as a man. That is very true.
See, bring back the men of the 90s for me, because I think that our value being equated to only being caretakers is very limiting in terms of perspective, right? So if men are like, oh, yeah, I
That's
have an
crazy.
abundance of options, options with no standards is a mute point. And I'm going to say that again, options with no standard is a mute point. You could have plenty of people that you invest spending time with, talking to, sleeping with, and all of those things. But if it has no value to it or no meaning, and the interaction is, like I said, empty,
Mhm.
doesn't do anything supportive. See, people wanting a yes man opposed to somebody who's going to challenge your growth or help pour into you or support you in a different way that's not only
Mhm.
financial or sexual. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we have to find different ways for people to share in what they feel are positive relationships. It can't all just equate to what you feel like somebody is doing for you. That's such a one-sided, like, that's just a one-sided
Mhm.
conversation, in my opinion.
But also, I feel like this too. I feel like we have to come to a point where you have to, like, how can I say this? Pick and choose in a way. Like, for example, you can't say, I feel like one moment people want that traditional, old school, like you said, 90s man mentality, 90s woman, or whatever case may be. And then next minute, you'll be the same person complaining about something. So as a man, you'll say, you know what, I feel financially the sole provider of this, and this. But you're the same man that you expect to come home and you have a hot meal, the kids are bathed, the house is clean, this, that, and the third. You have to pick and choose how you want to do it because you have some men that don't want to feel like they're the financial providers, and you want a woman to go out and work and do all these things and still come home and take care of the kids, clean, cook, have your meal ready, sitting on the table. Like we both just didn't go out and work a 10-hour day. So it's one of those things where like we have to pick and choose when we want things. You know what I'm saying? When you want like these standards, do you want this old school my parents kind of love, or do you want the modern, hey, everybody works, we gonna have to go 50-50 on this
Okay,
mentality if you know, if that's how you want to move.
I'm a product. I was born in the 90s, and I can honestly say this: my mother and my father were both working people. How our household
Hmm.
was handled is like, yes, there were split responsibilities. My father may have took care of the major part of paying like the mortgage of that portion of the bills, and my mother took care of the utilities, right? They contributed to our
Right.
education, they contributed to our clothing, they contributed to the food that was put in front of us. They worked as a team. That was the dynamic. In today's era, with what it takes for you to survive as an individual, being 150 to 200K for you to live a relatively good life, right? I need whoever my
Everybody got to work.
partner is, have a job, have a job. We said this before: ain't nothing going on but the rent, and now we gotta split it, or
But
we
the
gotta
rent.
split something, and and we gotta make it work. And I think
And,
that what happened about people in the past is that it wasn't so much of an expectation, it was consideration. I care for
mhm.
you, you care for me. I'm trying to make it easier
And
for
that's
you,
fine.
you're trying to make it easier for me. And that was the respect. That was the
And
respect.
that's
That's
fine.
the mutuality. We're trying to help each other further along. And that's the goal and the
Hmm.
objective. That's what
But you,
relationships were about.
but you know, like I said, you have people that sit up here and, like you said, hey, I have a job, you have a job, we can split the responsibilities. But then, like I said, you could be in that situation where you have a man that feels like, I have a job, you have a job, but I still have expectations of other things being done and I'm not doing that. Just like you have in other situations, flipping on the other side. You have women that don't have to work, stay home, XYZ, because the man takes care of everything. But then when the man comes home, the house is dirty, kids ain't this, dinner's not done, XYZ. But you know that's the life you wanted to live. It's like in a way, we all have to work together to keep the train going.
You know where I do feel like, and I'm gonna speak to all of the ladies out here that we completely messed up. We became too accessible, and too available. And I feel like a lot of that became because women wanted to compete in the weirdest of ways. I feel like there were so many women who were like, hey, like, I gotta cook for this man, I gotta make sure this is clean. This not even your boyfriend. This not even somebody who's
Hmm.
courting you. This is somebody who hasn't even set intentions on
But
what he
you,
would like to be to you. And I see so many women bending over backwards to do these things. Even when we were teenagers, I used to watch stuff like that. I'm like, you're giving somebody who is your teenage crush marriage treatment as if like this is going, if you know this is going to be his intention in the future, and letting somebody almost play with you like that. That's just, this is my feelings. I feel like
yeah,
the access that people got made it where their intention shifted.
no, that's the fact. I feel like we definitely made things too accessible, but also I feel like it's because also I feel like kind of like how you say if you look back, right? If we look back, the reason why men are kind of in this financial state and women are, I feel like the reason why we do have this accessibility that, you know, comes sometimes is because what ends up happening is this. Men are born and raised to be providers, and in a sense of financial wise, to be financially stable. Go get you a job, go do this, go do that. Women were always kind of brought up, go find you a man that's going to take care of you. Go find you a man that's going to do this, have kids, get the happy life, get the picket fence. And what happens is when you paint this fairy tale sometimes into young girls' heads, what you end up making yourself accessible to things because you're searching for something. You're searching for something somebody told you this is what you're supposed to go get. You're supposed to go after this. Yeah, if you go get you a job and you make something of yourself, that's fine, cool. But you're actually Your job on this earth is to go find you a man, have some kids, go get married. So you're searching for something. In the process, you make yourself available. You make a part of you available to find that thing. But like we discussed before, sometimes love is not in the cards for everybody. Marriage is not in the cards for everybody. Kids is not in the cards for everybody. And sometimes when you're out there searching for something like that, you make yourself more vulnerable and you don't have to be.
I think that if you recall, Beyonce did an interlude in the beginning of one of her songs where she was just like, "Oh, we teach young girls to see themselves as competitors
Oh,
in the eyes of obtaining like male attention, and that we don't raise our sons, we don't raise these boys to aspire to
mm-hmm,
marriage, but that's something that women were taught since
mm-hmm.
they were children to play not only house, but to play
To
wedding and
play
all these
house.
things that come with it." And that it was teaching. I don't know. Boys didn't get certain toys. I don't remember a boy playing with lawnmower, maybe a toolkit, maybe a little truck or
You
some
might
old
get you,
fire truck,
you get you a,
right?
I tell you what you get. You get a toolkit because you got you a little toy car, and that's to fix your little toy car.
Yeah. But
That's
what
what
did
the
we get?
toolkit was for, fix your
I
little
got
toy
an
car.
easy I got an easy bake oven so I could cook. I got a dishwasher set. I got a
Look here.
Susie homemaker set. I got 3 or 4 baby dolls. Baby Mario was up there spitting up, pooping, crying, and all other types of stuff.
You got the,
I feel
you
like
got the
we were
blender.
a
You
blunt. We
got
were
everything. You got
domesticated.
the
We
whole
were
homemaker
domesticated.
kit. You were domesticated at the age of 5. You knew where the pots, pans. You had a whole kitchen set that had pots, pans, a sink. You were washing fake dishes from the age of 5, and then you were going around, going to East Bake Oven, putting little brownie in there and everything. You were Susie Homemaker at 5. You knew what to do by 5, and then you got your baby on your hip at 5 years old. You're already trained.
And I just have to understand. If we look back at some of the toys that men interacted with, like even if it was GI Joes, even if it was superheroes and action figures and Power Rangers and all of that good stuff, right? It gave them the type of
Hmm.
confidence that says, I'm big and beyond. I could do whatever. I could
That's
fight any villain. I could handle any circumstance. I could handle myself. And the girls' toys were very much like, take care of people. Make sure
domesticated.
you're really good at doing this, right? And I know that it's different in
Domesticated.
modern times. The toys, like, kind of, I feel like toys are gender bender toys now. At this current point, any child is capable of playing with everything, whatever their little heart desires. And I love that for them. Because if I
Yeah.
want to play Banker on Wall Street, I'm going to play Banker on Wall Street. If I want to play Top Millionaire or Next Top
That's
Model or
all.
whatever it is, or DJ,
Girl,
I
who
can
you
do that.
telling? I had a niece. She said for Christmas she wanted a toolkit. I said I'll be damned. Okay, if that's what you want, Pookie. If that's what you want to be, if that's what you want to
Baby, last Christmas I asked for a toolkit because I am Bobisha the Builder. I fix it all. I build it all. I was like, I'm not trying to
that's what I'm
put out
saying. That's what.
any shade towards anybody, but everybody is equipped with
Hmm.
different skills. I don't automatically assume that any man that I've ever dated is going to be a man who's great with his hands. A lot of men were not taught those skills, right? Which means I don't want you to hold
Hmm.
certain expectations over my head, and I won't hold certain expectations over your head. But what I'm good at, I'm going to continue to contribute. What you're good at, you should continue to contribute. And that's what makes the
No, that's a
situation
fact.
best, right? And what you can't, if you could also stand to learn from somebody, I wish that we had more conversations about learning from the other party. We both have something to teach each other if we listen.
If you listen, but that's where the communication comes into play, like you said. It's the communication, like you said. We were talking about in our culture. In our culture, there definitely is a communication conflict going. It's a battle. It's a battle right now when it comes to our culture and communication. And one moment we can be okay, yeah, I hear you, I understand you, and then the next minute it's unwired. It's just crazy, and it's like one of those things where like the communication is very high. If we communicate, like you said, we can figure out each other. We can figure out how to help each other along the way. I know I ain't got it all figured out. As long as I can admit that and you can admit that, we can figure out how to figure it out.
Now, interestingly enough, going back to what Mike Epps said, he was like, I can honestly say this fact about women too. He was like, they are extremely intelligent. And he was like, to the point where
Hmm.
he was like, there's probably women sitting around in all different types of pockets talking about the dumbest thing that they heard a man say that day. And it's interesting because a man had said to me a little while ago, he had mentioned to me, he was like, women feel and men are more logical. And I was like, everyone feels. And I was like, and if not, this day and age, men are 10 times more emotive and expressive, and they spew their feelings all the time. I said, the difference between the two is how we process. I was like, men tend to be reactionary and they go off of impulse. So I said, men
Hmm.
say what they think out loud most of the time. I said a lot of
Hmm.
women, when they
So,
feel whatever it is that they're thinking, I feel like they typically process, if I say this, it's up and it's stuck. If
mhm.
I hold on to this, how is this going to impact me or the other person if I don't say it? I think we grapple with how we're going to present information and how
so
we're going to present in the world. And men are just like, I'm presenting this way and I'm saying whatever. And that's typically has been my experience working with people and having
mhm.
conversations with people.
So here's how I feel. When it comes to the logical situation, so I've heard that before where they say men are more logical and women are more emotional, right? Here's how I feel about that. I feel like when it comes to emotions, men try to use logic. That's how I feel. I don't feel like men are more logical and women are more emotional. I feel like when it comes to emotions, men try to use logic. And when you are talking about an emotion, you cannot use logic in that time. If I'm telling you how I feel about something, you cannot say, well, logically that doesn't make sense. It's my feeling, it's my emotion. It's not for you to break down and try to process and try to do math on. I'm just telling you how I feel about something. So I think that's the barrier that men try that yeah, y'all use logic when it comes to emotion, but are y'all more logical than women? No.
If you recall, that goes back to the common debate that used to be had in the school system, right? It was always stated that boys were better at math. And why young boys liked math is because it had one answer. They wanted one answer to a
Hmm.
problem. And a lot of girls tend to do very good with literacy, right? Reading and writing initiatives, because there's multiple ways to express yourselves in written form. When you read something, you can interpret it, you can take context
Hmm.
clues, you can dissect it, and you can present that information. We were taught that this is an area that was encouraged for women to be strong readers and writers. And a lot of men were encouraged in areas of math to be mathematicians, to be a logical thinker. It can only be answered this way. So when women go, there's more than one way that you could have done that. Men go, this is how I did it. This is how you do it. And a
You
woman's
know what's
like,
crazy?
that's one way to do it, but I feel like there's another solution to that.
It's so funny that you say men and math. Because when I tell you that is the definition I use all the time, man math. I tell people all the time when I have conversations, men use man math. Man math is a mother, okay? Man math does not add up at all. But you cannot tell a man that it didn't make sense when they say it. And it's crazy to me. Like, legitly, quick scenario. I'm gonna tell you how the men think, okay? Quick scenario. My cousin's car, right? He comes and says, I think I need a new battery. I said, oh, why do you think that? Oh, I've been having to, I had to jump start my car. I said, okay. I said, how long you been having this problem? He says, oh, about a week and a half. Sir, go take yourself down to AutoZone and get you a new battery. What you been doing? Oh, I just been jumping my car every day with the jump start kit. So in your mind, something
The
told you
battery,
you're supposed to use the jump start kit like your key. It's not your key. You're not supposed to use the jump start kit to crank your car up every day. Yes, the battery is dead. But nothing told you when the battery got messed up the first time. And then I can see sometimes you might have to, you gotta jump in your car. Okay, cool. But when it went out the next day, nothing told you, hey, you know what? I should probably check on this because I just had this situation happen the next day. Man is something special.
But
It is something deep.
what I like in this conversation, right? And this is the thing I think that people have to pay close attention to. We are not saying or giving feedback or advice in malice. I care about you, and
Hmm.
I don't want you to break down on the side of the road because your battery is drained, and then you're calling me at 3 o'clock in the morning saying, "Come get me. This shit ain't working no
Can
more."
you come help
Right?
me?
Can you come help me? So I think that the reality of it is like, hey, I'm not gonna violate because in my mind I may be like, dum dum today, what? But I'm going to say, hey, you know what?
But you know the
I
crazy
really
part
feel like
is,
you should do this. And some men will respect it and say, you know what, you're right. I should go take care of that. And some men, nah, man, I
hmm
should be good for a little while longer. I'll take care of that if it get down. So maybe another time. All right,
the
cool.
crazy
But we
part
gonna
is,
fight against
damn
our
if
own
you do,
common
damn if you
sense.
don't. It's a damn if you do, damn if you don't situation. Because if I tell you something, then it's like, oh no, I know what I'm doing, X, Y, Z, boop, 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 boop. Okay, cool. But then when I don't tell you, then you're like, so you knew I could have did it this way, you didn't say anything. You wasn't gonna listen to me if I did. If I did tell you, you wasn't gonna listen to me. So it's definitely a damn if you do, damn if you don't this situation. But that's what, like I said, that's what the communication breakdown comes into play.
And sometimes I feel like it's a lack of respect. Like there's no mutuality in there. I can hear a man who could present a good argument or a good case for why he is giving me a certain level of advice or explaining something to me a certain way or let me help you with
Hmm.
this. And I don't mean like he got to debate me down. I'm just saying if he could present himself well and say, hey, I think you should take this in consideration, I'm very receptive. I'm very receptive. I'm one of those people that I'm willing to hear two sides. But if you're dictating what you feel like I should be doing, if you're speaking to me in a
That's
condescending
different.
manner, violating, then energy matches energy. Energy matches energy. And I always say this, a lot of people get it, give it as good as they get it. So if you talk to me with a certain
Mm.
energy, like I don't know what I'm talking about or I don't know how to do this, I used to say that all of the time. I would walk into an auto mechanic and the men would talk to me like, did you try to do this? And I was like, I wouldn't have came here if I didn't try this already. I'm coming here because this is the problem. So with respect, can you fix this? Don't look for 20 other things to try to fix other than what I'm asking you to fix. And then there's times that I would bring men with
Facts.
me and they would speak to them with a certain level of respect. Oh man, I'm gonna talk to you about he don't pay
Oh,
for this car, he don't fix
you ever
this
see?
car.
You ever see
I
that?
don't
It's crazy to me how sometimes, depending on what you're doing, you have to bring a man just to get a whole different outcome. As a woman, if you're going to get your oil changed, if you're going to buy a car, if you're going to do certain things, sometimes it's crazy how you have to bring a man with you just to get a different outcome. And not saying you'll already know what's going on, but just to see how they treat you is completely different when you got a man with you.
that's a fact. That's a fact. And I don't really feel like there's any spaces, any businesses, or anything that men really walk into, right? Where that's the case, where
Mhm.
somebody is automatically moving around them differently in terms of conversation. Where I only
Mhm.
want to speak to the sister about this. I don't feel like a lot of female establishments do that. But when you go into things like car dealerships or auto mechanic shops and certain things, even when you do invest in business ventures, men have a big thing about I want to do business with other men.
Right when it comes to that, like it's just it's crazy to me how it really works in the world sometimes with certain things. But it's like you said, it's communication thing. Communication is a big topic here. I feel like communication is the biggest topic we have right now
It's
that's on the
always
line with this. When it comes to this modern, yeah, when it comes to this modern dating and just how, like you said, how people think, how men think, how women think. Like I said, my man thing, like I said, that's a big one for me. I really, I'm really strong on the man, heavy on the man. But um, the logical thing, yeah, I'm really heavy on that. I feel like we all are very logical, but I will not sit here and say men are more logical than women. Like I said, I just feel like they're logical with their emotions, and that's something that needs to get tapped on.
Yeah, like I said, I think a lot of people compartmentalize how they feel. They place it in little boxes and they tuck it away until something continues to push on that
Hmm.
box and break down those barriers. And then they don't have the tools all the time to know how to respond once everything starts spilling out of those boxes. And I feel like women have
Hmm.
been taught in a lot of ways that we can't only compartmentalize, but we have to handle and problem solve and be solution oriented into fixing those problems and taking other people's feelings in consideration. See, a part of being a nurturer or what
Right.
somebody says a caretaker is that part caring. I have to care about how you feel. I have to actually take into consideration when somebody uses logic to approach emotional situations, they're thinking about how they perceive their opinions, how they feel about it, what they think is the best solution to something. They're not using the ability to consider how somebody else may feel in that situation. And that's the
How you
difference.
feel. That's what I said. Emotion has nothing to do when it comes. Logic and emotion is not in the same room. That's why I said you can't put emotion with logic. Emotion and logic, no. If I'm coming to you with the emotion, you cannot put logic on my emotion. It's
Let,
my emotion, and vice versa.
let me give a prime example of this. And I just think about when I work with children, right? A kid will be waiting for their father to pick them up from
Hmm.
school, right? And they're like, I've been looking forward to this all week for dad to come and pick me up
Hmm.
on Friday. Now, the father has something happen to his car. The car breaks down. He's not able to get the kid from the school. He's so busy trying to handle that situation. He doesn't think to reach out to the mom. All of a sudden, the school got to call mom and say, could you come and get your son? Right? So now mom comes and gets the son, and she's just like,
Hmm.
hey, baby, I know that you were looking forward to your dad coming to pick you up. Maybe something happened. We'll check back in with your dad when we get around to it. So now the father gets in the situation. He may go, hey man, look, I really was gonna pick you up, but I had to handle the situation with the car. You know your dad need a car to get to work, right? So you understand. Missing a big picture. That child waited all week, built excitement, anticipation, wanted this relationship, this understanding, and look forward to it. And right, and how simply it was dismissed was like, of course I'm gonna take care of the car. You got your mother was able to pick you up. You're home safe. What's the big deal? He's all right. There's nothing wrong with him. Not unpacking the other layers
You
where the
didn't
mom
realize you
was
let
like,
down your child.
you didn't realize that you let down your child. You didn't realize how that level of letting your child down, how that may spearhead into other areas of their life in the future. See, a woman thinks that deep. A woman goes, I hope this doesn't build up resentment in my child, and that they do have an understanding and we're able to repair the damage that was done so that they don't accept that type of disappointment
Hmm.
consistently throughout their life. But a man goes, hey, look, no harm, no fear. I'll get his butt next week. This wasn't nothing, because the logical thing in that situation was I took care of the car,
Yeah.
I could pick him up, he's safe, I did what I was supposed to do. And at the end of the day, it wasn't no harm, no fail.
You you will hear men try to put logic on a lot of things. It's kind of like even like in general, right? I feel like as women, when we have kids and different things, the goal is to be better. The goal is to um not have you have to go through what I went through. If I had to struggle walk, you shouldn't have to struggle walk because mama already did the struggle walk for you. Where you will have men that will raise certain kids and be like, "Oh well, that's how I did it. That's how he need to learn, and that's how this happened, and that's how." And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. The whole point is for you not to have to do what I did. Like that's the whole point.
I'm gonna tell you,
Growth
you touched on
to
something.
break chains.
You touched on something that was a recent conversation I was having with quite a few people that felt like the reason why
Hmm.
men hold women, specifically black men and black women that we're talking about in this conversation, into a different standard than maybe some of our other counterparts is because of that same reason right there. Like men feeling like if I struggle, You coming from where I come from, the struggle is not new to you. You got to grind just as hard. Now, I don't know what other women in other cultural backgrounds have had to overcome and deal with, but I was raised with my mama and raised with my grandmother. They had the strength of a mule and an ox. They overcame obstacles. Food was put
Hmm.
on the table every night. They made sure we had clothes. So, you black women, when I see you, you got to be above and beyond. You got to be mighty. You got to be great. You can't be as emotional as somebody else. You're not entitled to that same level of softness because I've never seen it. I see my mother be strong. I see my aunties be strong. So why would I think that you were going to be anything less? See, everybody else has the entitlement of softness because I didn't grow up seeing their struggle. I didn't grow up seeing their conflict. So my expectation of you is very different because of my experience of you. And I feel like that's where that comes down to.
I feel like, ooh, open up another door. I feel like that is a big battle right now because we're talking about, black men and black women. I feel like that is another battle that is taking place right now too. The soft girl era, the softness, the soft life that you want to live, and black men not understanding what we mean by that and how we're what we mean when we say that. That we're not trying to offend. We just want you to understand that how things have been going. We you That's why you be out here and you hear people say the strong black woman. Yes, because you have to be the strong black woman all the time. You can't cry, you can't be mad, you can't blow up at work, you can't say certain things. You have to bottle all this in and then still come home and depending on who you are dating, not dating, who's in your household, whatever, you still have to hold a certain um
Let me
face
Let me tell you the
together.
three categories that somebody will put a black woman in that I feel like we constantly have to fight against, right? If you're not strong, then you're angry. If you're not angry, then you're crazy, right? And I feel like those are the
Hmm.
categories that women get put into commonly when they try to express their thoughts about something
All the
or
time. And that's not
feelings or when they show any level of emotion that's not considered socially acceptable in different spaces. You could either be strong, crazy, like I said, or angry in terms of
or angry.
communication. And I feel like,
But that's how we're
unfortunately,
portrayed. Like that's how they
that's
portray.
how they portray us. And I feel like, unfortunately, I get so upset with some of these comedians because they personify that. They make it where that becomes the archetype for what women like us look like in every given situation, right? They don't just capsulate on the strength, they capsulate on the fact that, well, if she ain't strong, then she these other two things. That there's not room
Hmm.
for different
But
types.
here's my thing. If you have a beef with feeling like, oh, well, only black women have to feel strong and only black women have to feel like they need to step into a soft girl era, nobody else has this issue, then maybe you need to look at yourself and figure out why do we have to feel this way? Why are we under this pressure? Because it's not just us by ourselves. Granted, I'm not putting it just on solely men or whatever the case may be. In general, no matter how you are, you have to conduct yourself a certain way as a
Correct.
black woman, like you said. Because like you said, either you're angry, you crazy, or you're strong all the time. It's no in between all the time.
And
They see you at work, you a strong woman. You see, no matter where you are, it's that title holding on to you somewhere.
And the reality is, just because somebody says soft girl era, it does not immediately relate to a sponsor. I think that's what been here. Oh, an effort for you to
No,
be in your soft girl era, I have to pay for it. Nobody asked you to do that, Boogie. Like I said, you go for the people that you
no.
want. If you're meeting women and they're saying, put me in my soft girl era, you pay for my soft girl era, that's a different conversation, right? But when most women are using this as an
Yes.
expression, they're saying, I'm seeking peace. I'm seeking peace of mind. I'm seeking
Yes. I'm just
calmness.
tired.
I'm just
I'm just
tired.
tired.
I want things to go
I
easier,
want tranquility.
more seamless,
Yes.
tranquil. I'm giving myself access to rest
Yes.
mentally, physically, spiritually, being enlightened, being positive, right?
I'm taking a power back. Yeah,
Like I said, I
I'm
don't want to
taking a
provoke
power back.
I
That's
don't want
why
to be provoked to anger or sadness or irritability, all of these different things that any human being experiences. I think most people want to be in a soft era in life. That is just not specific to
yes,
women.
yeah, it's not like you said, it's not just men and women, this, that, and the third. In general, you want because certain things are going a certain way. Like I said, we always say it, life be life it. You want to get to a point where, like you said, my peace is at a certain level, my spiritual is at a certain level, my emotional, everything is just smooth and easy. Tranquility, peace, all type of things. I'm trying to get myself together. Like I said, if you add to that, cool. But it's not, I'm not finding it in you. I'm not looking for you to give it to me. I'm finding it for me.
Mm-hmm. That's it. I'm not asking nobody to be my peace. I used to hear that expression all the time. And be like, yo, I just need you to be my peace. No, no, no. I'm not trying to be your peace. I'm trying to find peace within myself, and you should do the same. Because if we find peace within
I ain't your support
ourselves,
animal. Mm-mm.
we could be better to one another. And people don't realize that when you're looking for somebody to fill a gap that you're missing or an area that you're missing, when you're looking for somebody to complete you, then if ever that person leaves you, you feel like you're at a disadvantage. That's the reality. I think
Hey,
adding to
that's
somebody's world,
that's why we're caretakers.
you get what I'm saying? It's almost like an emotional support
That's it's
human.
all making sense now. It's
Emotion,
all
yeah, emotional support human.
yeah,
When
it's all coming back.
like Mike Epps, he didn't even stutter on that one. He was like, y'all, like legitimately. He was like, pay attention. He was like, we are hanging on to y'all for dear life and effort to survive. And I think that's why, I've said this before. They said a man who makes a lot of money has power, power to make decisions, power on who he has in his circle, what choices and what access he has. But a woman who has a lot of money has freedom, freedom to say, I can accept
Hmm.
or reject whatever doesn't serve me, right? And so if I feel like you
Exactly.
are
I can
impeding
say
on my
yes or
peace,
no.
right? If you're impeding on my peace, I don't
Hmm.
need you to be the support system in my life because financially I can't function without you. Nothing works unless you're around. Nothing gets fixed unless you handle it. That's not true for a woman who's in a certain caliber. So to me, if you cannot fulfill other areas, like it's not just about, hey, you being the provider, but there has to be other ways in which you can contribute. For a woman who is making a certain type of money, dealing with a man who may not be or is
Hmm.
making a certain type of money, there has to be some type of equilibrium. Everybody has to get on the same trajectory. And how
Yes.
that starts, like you said, is healthy communication, our values, our morals, our goals.
Facts.
And we can't do it with, like I said, with vanity. We got to be able to say, I'm helping you because I care about you. I'm supporting you because I care about you. I'm listening to you because I care about you.
Feel like I, mm,
I said, that's a
I definitely
caretaker.
feel like I'm gonna you said that's a caretaker. I definitely feel like we're gonna have to hit a part two. I believe this is definitely a part two conversation. I feel like there's so many different other topics that has to be discussed when it comes to this, but we have to hit them with the savage question.
It's savage question
It's only
time.
it's only it's only right. So okay, friend, do you think people want love or just attention?
I think both. To be honest, I think that people desire love based off of their life experiences, right? Whether if you grew up in a happy or well-adjusted household and you experience love, then you're always going to chase it for what you know it to look like. And if you grew up in absence of what you feel
Hmm.
love to be, then you're going to chase it, but you may not know how to receive it or give it back. And that's the reality. So I think that yes,
Ooh.
people all want love, but attention settles in because I feel like a lot of people, we've been taught this since kids. The people tend to receive more or better at raising their hand, jumping up and down, calling out to get it.
Hmm.
So we've been taught and conditioned as children, I feel like, to attention seek in a lot of ways because the person who speaks the loudest sometimes receives. the most benefits, right? Because they're always being heard. They're always in the center of things. They always know how to
Hmm.
ask the hard questions and get in front of a situation. And so I feel like because of being conditioned that way for many people as kids, the attention goes hand in hand with love. If your eyes are not on me, if you're not focused on me, if you're not calling me, if you're not fixated on what I got going on, then you must not love me. And I hear that from many people like, girl, if you don't
Hmm.
call me all day long, I know you must be doing something else. You don't love me. Or women who say the same thing like, man, if my man ain't on my phone 24/7, he don't love me. I was like, that's not love. That's about attention. That's like feeling if I don't get the
Yeah.
attention that I feel like I deserve every 5 minutes, I feel like something's wrong with me, or I don't feel like I'm getting the
Hmm.
gold star or the reward in the relationship. So I feel like it's a combination of both.
So I definitely can agree. That's why when you said it, I was like, ooh. I definitely can agree. I think it's both, but I think it also depends on your healing journey. I feel like a lot of people want love, but I feel like depending on your healing journey, that's when it starts becoming attention. I feel like that's why a lot of people are with people they don't want to be with because you don't know how to be alone. You don't know how to be by yourself. And you see people all the time be in situationships, relationships, and everything else because you just didn't know how to be by yourself. And that's why I said I feel like it depends on your healing journey. Wherever you are in your healing journey, in your growth journey, I feel like that will display how certain things are going to go when it comes to how you look at love and how you receive it, give it, and what you're accepting and not accepting. Because you have, like I said, you have a lot of people that are in situations that they don't want to be in, but you just don't want to be by yourself. So you're seeking that attention. It's something you're seeking, you're looking for, that you're like, you know what, I'll just deal with this because it feels good. It's all right. I got somebody around me. They give me a little bit of attention. They give me, they give me what I
I
need, whatever,
I
whatever.
think that it
And that's
feels
why I said it just all depends.
yeah, I think it feels like childhood wounds for a lot of people. When somebody is needy in that capacity where they feel like they always need to be the center of attention, everything is focused on them, the relationship revolves around them as a person. It's like what happened to you during the course of growing up, where either people always doted on you and provided you with that feedback all of the time. They always were in your space, always giving you claps and praise, or you didn't receive it at all. And now you need it from me. So now we're in a relationship and
You're
we're
out here
trying to
looking for it.
build and establish love for one another. And like I said, for you, that looks like a lot of attention, a lot of fulfilling of your needs, a lot of
Hmm.
directly like pouring into you. And I said that's what it comes to. I feel like it's something that starts in childhood that people have to examine. And we always say this,
Yes.
especially on Who Woke the Savage. If you heal the inner child and do some of the work, it'll be a lot healthier in terms of the relationships that you have with other people, not just romantically, but just person to person.
In general. Yeah, in general. It will help the way you move in general with conversation, people in general. It's not just all about the relationship aspect. Granted, it will help that too, but it will help across the board.
Mm-hmm. Facts.
So, friend,
Yes, friend.
I feel like, we gave it to them. I hope by that time we're gonna have to send them out.
We about to send the folks out on a good one. So we appreciate y'all rocking with us here at Who Woke the Savage. As usual, I'm your girl Day, aka Miss Wella and Woke, kicking it with my homegirl, Lady A Savage. Tell the people where to find this Lady A Savage to tune in with us.
So I'm gonna tell y'all right now, tune into that YouTube. Go to Miss Well and Woke YouTube, Lady A Savage YouTube. For highlights, clips, you can always find us on TikTok, Instagram, Miss Well and Woke, Lady A Savage. For any topics that y'all want to hear, y'all can always DM us. Savage questions, y'all can DM me as well. We want to hear from y'all. Interact, like, comment. Please make sure to subscribe, y'all. We are here for y'all. We love y'all for free. And we want to know what y'all want to hear. We want to interact with y'all. We want y'all to be a part of the conversation.
Like I said, as we say around here, we love y'all for free. Peace, love, and blessings. And we are out of here. Okay.